Nosy Neighbors fans, it's Jessica Carden with Murdoch Manwaring Company, your nosy neighbors. Thanks for joining us today. We are at it's not a super topic that a lot of times we would talk about, but it is such an important topic. We are at the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Center right here in Idaho Falls, right on Memorial Drive. We're right on the back side of the temple on the east side. Kind of a little nondescript building, but super easy to get to. Last month in October, it was Domestic Violence Month. And it is such an important topic, and as we get into the holidays, sometimes this is a time that unfortunately we deal a lot with. So we thought we'd come in and talk about the Domestic Violence Center and find out more of what the services they offer. By the way, if you love local businesses in our area like we do, please make sure to share this video right now. So just take a second right now, hit share, help us get more exposure for this business and local businesses around town. So we appreciate you. And if you love real estate like we do, as you know, we're a real estate team, please head over to the Murdoch Manwaring Company page and check things out. We actually just are doing our new updated market update, which talks about the stats of the real estate market. That's coming out next week. So you're gonna wanna like and follow that page. There's a ton of good resources, lots of fun houses to see, and we'd love to have you go over there. And if we can help you sell or buy a home, we would love to do that. That's how we pay for the Nosy Neighbors, and that's why we don't have to charge any of our local businesses. All right, let's get and talk to the director of the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Center right here in Idaho Falls. There's a great little parking lot right on this, so if you come in, it's an easy way to park, and let's go in and check it out. Well, hello. So we're the Nosy Neighbors, wondering if we can ask some questions about the center.
Okay, I am Teena. I'm the director at the center. It's nice of you to pop in.
Well, thanks. Fancy meeting you here. It's so random. We're not even planned. So tell us what you do for the center.
Okay, what I do for the center, I've been the director now for over 27 years. And my basic job, my primary job is to have money, create money, write grants, fundraising stuff, keep the doors open.
Gotcha.
That's my primary role.
Are you guys a nonprofit or are you a government? How does that work?
We are a private nonprofit. We are a standalone. We are a community-based advocacy center.
That is really neat.
Yes.
So tell us, when you say that, what does that mean? What are the services that you offer? What does someone come here for?
Someone who comes here, they come because either they themselves or a family member, say such as a child, they're a victim of a violent crime. And sometimes these crimes have been reported. Sometimes they are coming on their own unreported. There's nothing that says to come to our center you have to report your crime. Gotcha. Unless it involves a child. Gotcha. Because of state statutes, child abuse crimes have to be reported.
Do they have to report it before they come, or can they come here and you help?
They can come here and we can help them with that. We have a 24-hour crisis line. We provide shelter for women and children who are in imminent danger. Oh, if we have a male person, then we will not place them in our shelter where we shelter, but we will find an alternative in order to keep them safe. We do a lot of work with the courts. Spend a couple of days a week there. Work daily filing some paperwork, civil protection orders. That victims of violent crime are looking for and qualify for.
So if they don't know what to do, they just know they need help, do they just walk in the door?
They can just walk in the door.
And say, I don't know what to do?
Right. I don't know what to do. What we will do is we're going to get them set up with an advocate. That person is going to go into our intake. We have intake rooms. So we're going to take them.
So they come in, they go right to this desk and then into a private room.
Into a private room.
And it's beautiful. This is really nice.
Yeah. We've had kind people come in and make us look pretty. Mm-hmm. And we want it to be comfortable. Yeah. We want people to feel comfortable here, safe. Mm-hmm. And here's where they're going to share their story as much as they want with the person that is working with them.
Mm-hmm. What if it's a child? Do they come in? Is it always a parent that brings them in?
Not necessarily. Sometimes the children coming in are going to be in foster care. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Sometimes they may have a guardian. Mm-hmm. It may be one parent. It may be both parents. Mm-hmm. Older children will have a tendency, they will tell their story. Younger children, the younger the child, the more we're going to rely on the parent to help us understand what has happened. And then based on, first thing we're going to look at is safety. What do we have to do to make this person safe? Then we're going to look at, okay, what is our next need? Are they here? Do they want to report a crime? Okay, then we're going to make that call. And while we're waiting for law enforcement to respond and come in and take a report, we're going to do some paperwork. We're going to find out some more about the story. What are our other concerns? Is housing an issue? Do we need a civil protection order? What are the needs here? Initially, we're probably looking more often than not at our short-term needs. And then once we get through that process, next time, what's more long-term? We have support groups. So they may decide to get involved in a support group, and we're going to see them on a weekly basis for as long as they choose to participate in services.
So that's a super interesting topic. So a support group. What if someone maybe isn't right now a victim of a crime, but it's been in their past? Can they also come in and find services?
They can. They can.
So it's not just kind of crisis care.
No, it's not just crisis care.
Wow.
Right. It can be some old issues. And depending on what those issues are, depends upon where we're going to direct them within our facility. And if there's things that are really impacting them that we can't manage here, then we're going to reach out for other services within the community. We don't do this job alone.
Right.
It takes a community and a team to do this job.
So let's walk about this way. I'd love to see more of the center. So in that, how does it work with payment of services and those kind of things? Is that something that they should expect to have?
Zero,
always.
Zero. Wow. We do not charge for our services.
That's wonderful.
No, we never charge.
So before I have a million other questions in my mind, how do they find out more? How do they, if they're not going to walk in the door, what other ways can they get in touch and find out information or for help?
They can call on we have an office phone number. All they have to do is Google search domestic violence.
And it's probably on their Facebook page, which is a link below.
It's on our Facebook page. We have a 24-hour crisis, so they can get the crisis line, they can get the office number. We do sometimes have people make contact with us either through our webpage or our Facebook page. It's not my favorite because it's not quite as personal.
Gotcha.
But we will respond. We really call. And also they don't have to tell us any more information than they want to. Even if they walk in personally, they don't have to tell us who they are.
Oh.
They only have to share as much as they want.
Makes sense. What if there's a family that has they know of maybe a child, but the parents are part of the problem or anything like that? Can someone who's not their guardian bring someone in? How does that work?
That's
because
that was really touchy. Thing. That's really touchy, and I would not recommend you go pick up somebody's child and bring them to our center.
Yeah, because that's what you think as I'm going to go rescue them.
Yes,
right.
No. You need to be reporting. You need to be calling Child Protection Services. You need to be calling law enforcement. And I always encourage people to double report. If you report to Child Protection, still report to law enforcement. If you report to law enforcement, still report to Child Protection.
Makes sense. Could they call in and tell someone because that might be I can't put myself between that.
Right.
Can they call and tell you guys and you guys help with that? That's awesome.
Right. If they call and give us details, we're reporting. Even if they have told us we've reported or we're going to report, it's just our standard practice to make sure we report.
What if it's not a child? What if it's a man or a woman in the situation that they know of?
Then there is no mandatory reporting statute.
Gotcha.
So,
but could they call in and say, I know of a woman or a man that is in a domestic violence situation and I don't know what to do?
Right. We can talk about what they can do, how they can support. Sometimes they're really concerned about somebody. They're concerned about their welfare.
Yes.
And so what we can do is initiate a welfare check.
Oh, yeah.
So we can have law enforcement go check on them.
I don't even think I knew that. That makes me a little embarrassed, but I didn't think I knew that.
Well, I think sometimes recognizing tools we have available and people don't know all the tools. And sometimes we have to get creative. We may not know all of our tools.
Right.
Until we're presented with a problem, and then we have to figure out how are we going to address this problem.
Awesome. Well, can we see a little more of the center?
We bet.
So most of the time, if someone comes here, it might be emergent care or therapy care.
It could.
Okay.
So like if you're coming in and we're going to do a forensic interview, let's say. So forensic interviews are going to be children. So somebody under the age of 18. This is our little people space.
It's adorable.
So what we're going to do is trying to get this family in here, get them settled, let the kids start to kind of chill. They have games, toys, things they can play with. Start talking with the parents. Get everybody comfortable. Because they're going through a big thing. This is huge. There's a lot of trauma connected to this. Once we get all of our players here, because you're going to have the family, we're going to have law enforcement, we may have child protection services, we're going to have our staff, so they'll have an advocate and a forensic interviewer attached to that family. Then from there, we're going to take a parent or guardian, whomever is in charge of this child, and we're going to head back this way. And somebody came through and turned off all my lights.
Everyone's going home for the day.
And the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to meet in this room. And we essentially call this our team room. And in here, they're going to have a discussion between all of our MDT, which is a multidisciplinary team members that are present, and our parents. And they're going to talk about the case, any questions, concerns the parents have. They're going to explain the forensic interview process. Because parents, nobody gets to sit back here and watch this.
Right.
So the privacy of the child is extremely important, but not even the parent. Nobody sits in and watches these interviews.
Gotcha.
So once they've had that meeting, then they're going to go back up. The advocate is going to work with the parents. The forensic interviewer is going to talk to the child about coming back and visiting with them.
Is that usually a law enforcement person, or is that a staff here?
That's a staff person here. Forensic interviewers usually are generally independent of law enforcement. It's a neutral party.
Gotcha.
And so they're going in and getting a story, and law enforcement or CPS will be watching and listening to that story. And sometimes, they will take a break, and law enforcement may ask the interviewer, will you please ask some more in this area? Can we see if we can get a little bit more information here? So neutral third party, they go get the child, and a child doesn't get interviewed until the child is comfortable. We've had a child come, hang out for a while, and go, not talking to you.
Yeah.
And they will come back later. And when they're comfortable and ready to talk, then we're going to move forward. We'll take however much time it takes. It's okay. We're not in a rush.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. So once they go back to the room, get the child, then this is the actual interview room. So they're going to come back in here into this space. And this
Very
space,
cozy.
It is.
Oh, very sound. Like the sound was dampened immediately. Wow.
Yes. And that's so we're not picking up anything. There's nothing overflowing into this
If
interview.
people are in the hall talking, you're not going to...
Yeah, it's just all very, very quiet. Also, the room is stark. There's no pictures. There's no things that they can hone in on and then kind of introduce them into their story.
Makes sense.
They want the story to be clean. They want the story to be the child's version of the story.
Makes sense. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
Another component that sometimes happens.
Now, is this the same process for an adult?
It is not the same process for an adult.
I'll ask that question then next.
That part is becoming kind of new with some of our law enforcement.
Oh.
Where we did just have a law enforcement agency in on Monday. And they brought in an adult victim and actually spent 2 hours recording their interview and stuff and worked with our forensic interviewer on her crime.
Wow.
And so, and they're starting to find that having this quiet, calm interview time it gets more. They get more information in that process. Giving victims time to work through that initial trauma, calm down a little bit, kind of they got to process that, wrap their head around that, and then come back and let's talk about this story. Let's talk about what happened.
Interesting.
Now, with both adults or with children, something that we have at our facility that is unique to us as a nonprofit and as a standalone is we have sex assault nurse examiners who are employees and staff of DVSAC. But they not only work with victims, child and adult victims of sex assault, they can also do forensic medical exams if requested on domestic violence victims, aggravated battery victims, so victims of other strangulation. So we've spent a lot of time training our nurses, and as a matter of fact, 3 of our nurses are nationally certified.
Wow.
So they've spent a lot of time, hours, doing exams, learning, teaching.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a lot going on in a little tiny space.
So does that mean if you felt like you were a victim of not just a sexual crime, but a physical crime, you could still come here?
You could come here. You could come here, and you could say, you could come in and say, is it possible? Can I set a time when I can have your nurse check out some of my injuries?
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to the ER, but I can come here.
Yeah.
And so,
That's awesome.
As long as it's a non-urgent thing, we are good to go.
I love that idea.
This is our pediatric exam room.
Fun. Oh, that is neat. Really neat.
And over here, this is our adolescent adult exam room.
Oh.
And we tell you, don't let the heads freak you out, because these are actually used for strangulation cases.
Oh, interesting.
And for training and stuff.
Interesting.
So yes. So
it's very nice. It's very inviting. I guess I think of a hospital as very sterile, and you feel like you're kind of out. And this is very nice, very private.
So, yes. Yeah. We try to keep it private. Again, calm and as comforting as we possibly can.
So in this, if someone comes here, they can feel confident they don't have to go home to a situation they don't want to go home to. From here,
right,
they can move into a safety situation.
Right. We will get them as safe as possible, as quickly as we can. A lot of people think sometimes that sheltering a victim is the best thing. They just put them in a shelter, Shelters are very isolating, especially when you're talking about safety, because you can't invite your friends over, you can't invite your family over. The places to stay is secret. And so that it becomes, you're isolated.
Yeah.
We do have a shelter manager, so there is somebody there.
Yeah.
But it's not like having your best friend or your sister or your mom or your cousin or whoever that natural support system is there to talk to confide in. And, I compare it to, when my sister was alive, even sometimes when my mom was alive, my sister or my mom was my safe zone. Just even a bad day. It didn't have to be anything super traumatic, but you just have that person you can go to and talk to about whatever.
Yeah.
And whatever it was, you felt safe in that environment, And so those are the things really that a victim needs at the time when they're going through that process.
That makes sense.
Shelter is when we really can't contain a person that wants to harm somebody.
Right.
And
they've
there
got to
is
go
really,
into almost hiding type of situation.
Yeah, and there is no other option. That's when you really want to shelter somebody.
Interesting.
So
these are things I don't know. That's amazing. So as we look at this, in anything else that we've talked about, we can walk by this way, anything else that we've missed or that maybe someone would need to know if they're going to come in and utilize the services?
I think basically just understanding there is no cost. It's not going to cost you anything. It costs you your time. You don't have a particular commitment. We're not going to tell you must do A, B, C, or D.
You must report now, and as an adult, you have to.
Yeah. None of that applies. You bring in your story, your journey, and we're going to work with you and meet you where you are. we are going to try and help you get the best resources, either internally or externally, to help you accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. And more often than not, it's a safe home, a safer relationship. You know, I'm not going to tell everybody that everybody who comes in through this door, they're going to get a divorce. That's not real, and that's not necessarily going to happen. Some people do, some people don't. But there's no requirement that you have to be getting a divorce or you are divorced to come through the doors either.
So I think about that as if you have injuries and you're not prepared to leave, but you need some things addressed, you may not go to a hospital.
You may not.
You may not feel, because you know that might not, you might not be ready for what happens as a result. But this is the place you could come.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So
that's amazing. That's amazing. What a great service.
We think it is a great service.
Really great service.
What our main goal, really what would be very, very nice is if our community really didn't need this service.
Wouldn't that be great?
But the reality is it's probably not going to happen in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
But
and as the holidays, do you see an increase?
You know, for us, kind of what has happened is we've kind of seen it just stabilize. We don't see ebb and flows quite as much as we used to. Holidays probably have a tendency to maybe even get a little bit quieter because people, they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to separate families during that time frame. But, you know, it doesn't mean that we're not going to see something happening, or maybe during that time frame is the time frame they come out and kind of explore to see what options are, while they're formulating a plan that maybe in the new year I'm going to do something different. I need something to be different.
So what are your hours? I should have probably asked that at the very beginning.
Our office hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5.
Okay.
On Fridays, we try to, if we can, we are 9 to 4. We try to get out an hour early, give everybody an early start on their weekend. But essentially, really, we function 24/7. We have a crisis
line. And someone could meet them 24/7.
Yep. We get called out. We get called out to the hospitals. You know, we get called out to shelter for law enforcement. Anything can happen. So even though our office is closed, we are never closed.
So thinking about the nonprofit and kind of moving to the other side, what if someone wanted to donate? Do you receive donations? Is that part of it, or is it all grant based? No,
we rely on fundraising, donations. If anybody wants to do fundraising and they have great ideas, please come and join us. Volunteers, if anybody's interested in volunteering and working on our crisis line, we would love to have that.
Do you have to have any training to do that?
We do. We're gonna have you spend about 40 hours in training. We're gonna do a background check before we have you working out there on your own. And even then, no volunteers ever on their own. They have a list of staff phone numbers to call in case they get into something and they're like, I'm not sure what to do with this. So a lot of teamwork internally, a lot of teamwork in the community, because that's the only way we're going to make a difference.
Awesome. A hard but an amazing field to be in.
It is.
There are not as many people that could do it and be able to do it effectively. So that's awesome. Thanks for doing that.
Hey, thank you.
Amazing. All right. Okay, you guys, this here is in Idaho Falls. It is the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Center right here on Memorial Drive. What is the crisis line?
208-235-2412.
Perfect. We'll put that in the link below. But take a look. If you know someone, even if you can't do anything, let them know of the resource. If you have resources, funds, time, this would be an excellent way to spend those. Businesses, if you're listening to me. I'm assuming it's a tax write-off if they make a donation.
It is. We're a 501c3.
Love that.
It's a tax write-off.
That's awesome. So really cool. Thank you so much. Check it out. Link below. All the resources are down below. Thank you so much. And this has been Jessica Carton with Murdoch Manwaring Company, your nosy neighbors, keeping you in the know.